update from this weekend. Scrimmage format again. Tackled for half of it. Played some more snaps. I think a lot of guys played about 45, 50 snaps, which was up from the week before, just trying to continue to get closer to game time. Now we were down a number of people. We had 27 guys out, either injury or COVID related. So that was challenging. And unfortunately, you don't have threes. So, a lot of guys had to play a lot of snaps, and some guys didn't get to play as much as we'd like because of that, because of certain positions. So it was a defensive dominated day, which was good, because it'd been the other way. So that's good to see. I think there was 4 turnovers. We were like 10% on third down. So it's obviously great for defense, not good for offense. Now we did sit or barely play a few of the top guys on offense just to avoid some injuries with 8 and 9, and had a number of guys out. So that was part of the struggles also, including Plumlee. So.
All right, David, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, Lane, with the news on Sam Williams this morning, can you talk about the process of reintegrating him into everything?
Yeah, from my knowledge, Sam had been working out. He had not been working out with us because he was away from all team activities. But we did see him a little bit and worked him in yesterday. And so obviously he's got a ways to go, but you can see why. Really that's our first time with him with no spring ball. So you can see flashes of why he's showed to be a really good player at times.
All right, we'll go to Parrish.
Lane, I'm wondering with the cross training you've told us about, trying to get guys ready to play different positions. Are you cross training any offensive linemen to play defensive line?
We are not. That would be the other way around. If anything, the offensive line is more. The numbers have been major issue. We had 9, Saturday, so we really had to rotate. We couldn't even have 2 full groups, so that has been an issue. We were actually taking our next walkthrough coming up, and we were going to flip the entire skill groups. So, the thought is you don't know who would really switch, because you don't know where you're going to get hit. So we're actually going to take a full day where all of our skill on offense and defense will go to a defensive meeting, offensive meeting, install some base concepts, and then go out and do a walkthrough with them on the other sides, just so they could get familiar with the basics of the offense and the defense in case we had to move someone. And also just kind of give those coaches a chance to work with them one day and see how they process information also.
You were telling us last week about how many people were out in the secondary. Has it settled down there, and is there another position group that's particularly troubled at this time?
Yeah, we did get 3 COVID DBs back starting yesterday, so that'll help the numbers there. The offensive line and tight ends where the main issues are now, but in the next 3 days we should have 3 offensive linemen back from COVID, as long as they pass all their tests. Because it's not like they just come back right away. They still, once they come back, still got to go through a number of tests, and you got to work them back in. So this is longer than people initially thought. And our tight ends have been hit injury-wise pretty heavy.
All right, we'll go to Ben.
Lane, have you heard anything, or have y'all heard anything about Otis Reese and where he kind of stands right now? And also, what are your thoughts about how Dean Leonard has come along so far?
We have not heard a final thing on Otis. All that was turned in a while ago, and so we are waiting to hear that. Obviously, there's a lot of anticipation around that. He's one of our better players on our entire team. Would definitely be a starter for us and significant player. So obviously, we hope that that goes well. Leonard really, has looked even better maybe than we would have thought. Looks every bit like an NFL player. Very long, can run, great length, and that would be that's another. It's kind of unique to be sitting waiting on waivers with such significant players. So hopefully get some good news. And I feel bad for those guys that don't win waivers because to me, they're really getting like double punished. Everyone else is getting an extra year. So if you don't win your waiver, obviously you can't play, but you're not getting an extra year. So everyone else is getting to play one more year but you. So that part's really kind of unfair.
Is Leonard one of those guys you're cross-training at different spots in the secondary?
No, just because it was so late. I mean, with his length, you would, had he been here a long time, but, we're just trying to catch him up at corner.
Nate, go ahead with your question.
I mean, along similar lines, have you heard anything or do you have any speculation on how like the NCAA furloughing all of those employees kind of changes the waiver process or any of that?
So I asked for updates, from our people and all the time. And so they just said that it's there and that, the last 3 days, they were out on holiday, I guess. So hopefully something this week.
Go back to Parrish.
You're on mute.
Yeah. Is Leonard eligible now?
No, we are waiting to find that out.
Neil, go ahead.
Lane, I was curious. The Navy coach today was talking about how they'd gone through their entire preseason, no tackling, really very little hitting and that kind of thing. He thought it was one of the big reasons they played as poorly as they did last night. How difficult as a coach has it been to balance this year all of the COVID concerns and that part of it with getting your team physically ready to play from a blocking and tackling standpoint?
Well, I guess in a way I kind of had a little bit of practice with the sanctions at USC when our numbers were, so far down. So, I think I made a mistake that year, after a really good year there, even though our numbers are really low because of the sanctions and only being able to sign 15 guys, we didn't tackle, and didn't do the same practice formats, and then we went out and played really poorly that year. We've tackled like we normally do, and practice like we normally do, for those reasons. So, I mean, it doesn't do any good to stay healthy if we're out there and we can't tackle on game day. So, we've been doing everything as normal.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, Lane, just curious what you've seen out of your place kicking game so far through camp, in particularly Luke Logan.
Yeah, there's a competition there, and so we give them equal opportunities, in our team and 2-minute drills and things like that. And so, Luke's done well, but it's still a competition.
Go ahead, Nick.
I guess we can't let you get out of here without talking about quarterbacks for a second. You mentioned Plumlee at the top and kind of being limited with what he could do this weekend. Have other guys stepped up to kind of take one roles, or has it mostly been Matt with him out?
Matt has taken all the reps with the ones since Plumlee's been out. And then Dent's taken a lot of the twos and worked Grant and Cade in there some. So the position's done some good things, but a lot of consistency work to do.
We'll go back to Parrish.
Hey, Lane, who are those in the kicking competition?
I don't have that in front of me with that, but we opened the competition up and gave a lot of people shots, being without having a spring ball. So we'll get that narrowed down here probably later this week.
How many? Do you know how many are involved there?
I think 3 or 4.